Hey, Chris Liepe here with a vocal breakdown for Chester Bennington, the song Given Up. And yes, we're working with isolated stems. So we're going to be able to discover a ton that we wouldn't normally be able to hear if we were listening to the whole song by listening to the isolated vocals, and then try some fun things by working over just the instrumental. There's going to be lots of cool things we're going to be doing with our voices and our ears for this one. We're of course going to be working with vocal technique and placing certain sensations in our own voices, and we're going to be looking at how he takes advantage of, or how the producers of Linkin Park take advantage of his amazing sound through effects and recording techniques, briefly. Because at least having an awareness of what's going on in the recording process helps you fill in the gaps with your own voice. It's a tricky thing, but oftentimes we tend to put too much pressure on our voices to do something when we're performing or recording that really is being enhanced in a great degree with the recording process or effects, stuff like that. And we're going to be talking a lot about aggressive vocals here, airflow management, grit, all sorts of things that if you're not experienced or completely comfortable with the fundamentals of singing, you ought to be before you go down the route of trying to do some of the things that Chester does. If you'd like more help with that, click the link below and join my free voice course. Grab a nice pair of headphones. Let's get going.
Waking a sweat again. Another day's been laid to waste.
Okay, right off the bat, we need to call out the kind of compression that he's using here. He is holding back air, like I've talked about before, but there's a component that he's using or summoning a bit here that is not unique to him, but he does it really well, especially when he's singing quietly and in his lower range. And that is moan. We're gonna moan. Oh, yes, like this. What this involves is a bit more nasal placement. That has the byproduct of getting your face out of the way a little bit. And then you want to hold back air at the same time. And then let some air through. This takes a while to get this coordination, but if we place a little bit more nasal, waking a sweat again, and then we're teetering on this tightrope of just holding back air and having it be sort of clean and moany like this, and then adjusting the airflow a little bit more so that we get some of this grit in there. So if we listen to this first section again.
Another day's been laid to waste.
Hear the waste? Another day's been laid to waste. Waste. And he's got a much more tenory, thinner sounding voice. It's amazing than I do. But we need to put ourselves in this positioning when we're singing low and when we haven't, gone for it in terms of screaming and stuff like that, because this is a pent-up sound, and this pent-up sound is quiet. Laid to waste.
Feels like I'll never leave this place.
Same thing there.
There's no escape.
And he gets even more in that. Here, listen to this section again.
There's no escape.
And listen to the way he uses his breath at the end there. There's no escape. I'm exaggerating this, but this should tell you how much literal pent-up air is actually happening. There's no escape. Escape. Exaggerate that and play with that feel. It's a great thing to do to that breath thing where you're holding back breath and then you let it go at the end of a phrase. Lots of great singers do that. Chester and Cornell are some of the best at harnessing that in a free way.
I'm my own worst enemy.
Okay. I'm my own worst enemy. Me. Listen to that vowel.
Me.
Me. It's not a me. Me. It's not quite a may. And he is building air pressure here.
I'm my own.
Listen to the moan.
I'm my own.
I'm my own. I'm my own. It's not this. I'm my own worst enemy. It's not that. It's I'm my own worst I'm my own worst enemy. So practice that arc. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own worst, and play with the extremes, right? I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own nasalness. I'm my own worst. You get to sound a little worried when you're working with your airflow management too. Something that Jonathan Davis of Korn does a ton of. All right, let's keep going.
I've given up.
Okay, now I'd like to point something out in terms of the production here.
I've given up. I'm sick of feeling.
Listen here, we've got,
I've given.
it's fairly dry, and then on up, and you hear this little tail, this delay tail. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about his arc up to that note.
I've given.
I've given. I've given.
I've given.
It's not really a note there.
I've given.
I've given. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to take the same approach that we did with his earlier clean stuff, and we're going to moan like that without being gritty, but holding back a little bit of air and being a little more nasal. We're going to put that feel in our voice, and we're going to put a pin in it, and then we're going to get this note cleanly. Get it any way you can as long as it's clean. I've given. Head voice. For me, that's a mixed note. For him, it feels chest. Seems chest. I can't feel his voice. I can only feel my voice. Okay. Even though this is a mixed note for me, if I try to do that in just chest, I'm not able to approach it right. So if you want more help developing your mixed voice, I've done lots of videos on that as well. Okay, so, but what we need to do is take the same approach after being clean. We're going to put this grit over the top of this clean note. I've given up. We're going to hold back air. We're going to push a little bit more. I've given up. I've given up. It's a little too gritty there. Let me dial it back. And there are two types of grit that you're going to hear in this song. What I just did was stumble into the more screamy, extreme broken up stuff that he uses later on in the song, which is absolutely amazing as well, but we're not there yet. I've given up. I've given. He's gritty there. I've given up. Clean up. Okay, now let's talk about how these wonderful effects, this delay that comes in there on up, creates that glassy, cool, sheeny sound. There's a lot going on here. Let's unpack it real quick. So the first thing I've done is squashed my voice a little bit more. I'm adding a little bit more compression to my voice. So I can be real quiet and real loud, and it captures it, right? And then I've added a bit of saturation. So that there's a bit more breakup as I start to get louder. Not ugly breakup, cool breakup. Those are the two things I've added dynamically. Then I am working with several different types of additive effects here to get close to what Chester's doing. The first is a short room reverb. Test, test. It is, you can hear it as immediate. So you hear my articulation of my dry voice, and then just afterward, there is a space around my voice. But that's not all he's using to get a bit more space. He's using a very mild modulation, a very mild chorus. Let's look at that real quick. And these are mostly free or cheap plugins if you get them on sale, but you can use all sorts of different things. Listen to what happens when I bring out this chorus effect. It's not chorusy as in like super, it's not doing that. But if I bring it back and add test, test, 1, 2, do you hear the fullness? If you have headphones on, you will, that comes out. It's like, it doesn't duplicate my voice, but it increases the amount of space it takes up in the mix. And this is important with voices that are a bit thinner in terms of texture. In addition to the grit that they add and the aggression, putting stuff like this in, almost transparently. You can't hear this at all when you listen to the original as a chorus, but it's there in a very small amount. Okay? Then we add another reverb. Test, test. Hey, hey. And you can hear this even here.
Stuck in my head again. Feels like I'll never leave this place.
Here the two, there's the immediate reverb, and then there's the more hallish reverb. And I'm just using the same verb here, but I've got a longer time, and I've got a hall setting, so it sounds wider. We've got a room and a hall at the same time. You could consider this being an early reflection and then more of a space-creating thing. And then we've got...
I've given up!
Now listen, when I add this delay. Notice this delay sounds limited, band limited, and it's in the center. So it combs over my vocal. I've given up! When we bring the vocalization stuff together with these subtle effects, there's a lot that can happen that seems magical. I've given up! I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say? Take this away! So if you try your own voice against the instrumental version with the effect chain, it's not going to be perfect, but you can feel your voice working with the effects. You can feel the effects of the effects. And it's so fun to get in that. And if you experiment with bringing the effects in and out for that first part where Chester, has this section. I've given up! Where there's no delay, then we can, mute these for my little attempt here. I've given up! And then unmute the effect chain. I've given up! I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say? Take this away! And you can also hear that band-limited delay going, and so you don't get any like S's and other sibilancy things going on. Okay, now listen here. I was talking about those two different types of distortion. Notice how is cleaner. It's that other type of distortion we were talking about. And then wrong is even more. So if we practice that, we want to try for is clean-ish, is. Then we want to get whiny with it so we can clean it up and then create a distinction between is wrong. We're going to exploit our vocal break and bring our is wrong. That's how we're going to approach that. And he does that right here. Is wrong. Yeah. Is wrong. And then you can hear it here. He's back to his wonderful, delayed, cleaner, gritty sound. With me. And we've got, I don't know what to take.
I don't know what to take.
Take. Same sort of thing where he's using the moan. I don't know what to take. And then letting that pent-up breath come out.
I'm not prepared.
Ooh, now here, I'm not prepared. Prepared, you can hear prepared. La 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 la. That is an interval of a fifth.
I'm not prepared.
Neat sound.
I'm not prepared. I hyperventilate.
Okay, now here.
I hyperventilate.
Listen how he's not even working with the pitch so much. I hyperventilate. But he's holding back a ton of air, and at the same time, being this worried guy.
I hyperventilate.
As opposed to being really accurate. I hyperventilate. There's two different things going on from a mentality standpoint, but if you rob yourself of a little bit of air, again, this is another, Jonathan Davis does as well too.
I
hyperventilate. Don't be accurate, be expressive.
I hyperventilate, looking for help somehow, somewhere, and no one cares.
Now, cares. Again, that harmony part.
I'm my own worst enemy.
Now listen to that vowel. Enemy. We talked about that a little bit before. In addition to Chester getting his face out of the way, enemy, bright, part of that getting his face out of the way is that moan mentality. But he is not using a true E. Enemy. Good stuff.
I'm sick of feeling. Is there nothing you can say?
Now, on this say, notice how he goes down in pitch. Say! There's this speech level thing that's happening. Yeah, is there nothing you can say? He lets it kind of fall apart at the end. Accuracy is not the goal. Tone and real interaction between speech, sing, character. Say!
Take this all away. I'm suffocating.
Now right here, suffocating. I'm suffocating. It's easier to keep that tone consistency when you're not trying to do suffocating. That sounds kind of cool, but it sounds more Rob Halfordish almost or something. Those open vowels keep that tone consistency going.
Wrong with me.
Again there. May! Now listen to that, the way he falls off that with that breath. Let that out, let that because you're still holding back a lot of air. And that at the end ties things together in a really emotional, connected way. Okay. Now, if we listen really carefully to this, there's a pitch happening. And this is really difficult to hear. When you hear it with the whole thing, listen to this. We don't hear the we don't hear that happening. But it's there. He's breaking that note. It is so awesome. Let's get there. Clean. Then we're going to let it deteriorate. And then we'll go a step further. All right, moving on.
Put me out of my misery.
Hear the pitch variance there?
Misery.
That doesn't square with the pitch of the song, and it's clouded. But it's there, and we need to learn that and hone in on that with our own voices. And kind of let your voice do what it does. Don't force the pitch out.
Put me out of my misery.
It goes higher there. Hooray! Hooray! There it is. Let yourself crack and be okay with that as you're trying some of these things.
Misery!
And the longest, most awesome scream of all. Oh, it's just chilling. Listen to the pitch. It doesn't square with the instruments again. Well, maybe it kind of does. And he holds that forever, and then and just in case there is any suspicion of studio trickery with screams like this, here's him doing it live, less produced and done with a phone, and sounds equally incredible and chilling. Just as good. And he just nails it. It's not just that he's screaming for a long time. It's that he's maintaining that D5 for so long, and it sounds painful. It looks painful, but because he's able to sing this in one take, not just the scream, but the stuff on the other sides of it, you know he's doing something right. It's one thing to do a no-note scream or a pitchless scream for a really long time, kind of that fry scream that you can potentially do pretty quietly if you have your airflow management down well. It's another thing to hold a high mixed note like a D5 and then go down and be completely on beat and nail everything on either side of it for a long time, right? Holding a high note like that for a really long time. And it's an entirely otherworldly different thing to be able to do both at the same time, or all those things at the same time, and make them look hard and easy all at the same time. Consummate performer, consummate recording artist, one of the best aggressive vocalists ever.
Is there nothing you can say?
So again, that speech level, say, slide down there. It's not say like he does on up, right? He's very honed in on that pitch there, but he comes off of it on the say.
Say, take this all away. I'm suffocating.
Suffocating. Suffocating! As opposed to suffocating!
Wrong with me.
Love the wrong! Letting that note deteriorate.
Wrong with me.
What he's really good at is establishing those open vowels on the higher end, but then with is very much, he's not going with me, keeping them both really open. It's with me. That's a very distinctive characteristic of Chester, and it's a very good thing for us to keep in mind. We don't want to leave all our vowels open, because then it begins to sound like we're just doing we don't want that. We want the level of articulation, and we want our vowels to be intentionally open, not just open because we're trying to hit pitches. Thanks for joining me for this in-depth look at Chester's voice. I have so much fun doing these. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of this format, and also let me know other songs and artists you'd like me to take this same isolated vocal approach breakdown with. And if you'd like more help breaking down your own voice and discovering what it can really do, particularly in the areas of aggressive singing, follow that link below, and I'll help you out. We'll see you for more.